Hey everybody, today I want to talk with you about Tourette's disorder. What is it? How do we diagnose it? And then what do we do to help ourselves? So like I said, today I want to talk with you about Tourette's disorder. And the reason that I'm even bringing this topic up is because I received a question from Melissa, aka I Drank the Seawater. If you haven't checked out her channel on YouTube, hop on and check it out. She puts out a lot of videos about this topic and other things going on in her life, and it's just wonderful content. So she sent me a question. I'm going to read you what she asked. She said, why is Tourette's syndrome in the DSM when it's a neurological disorder? And I didn't know the answer. I said, I'm going to look into it. What a good question. I had no idea. And that's a great thing about our community is that you all challenge me to learn more information, to put out more content, do more research, to figure things out so that we can disseminate the information, right? That's what our community is all about. So thank you, Melissa, for asking. And what I found out, drum roll please, is that, and I'm looking in my handy dandy DSM and I also have my notes. So if you see me referencing, that's what I'm doing. I found out the Tourette syndrome is a neurodevelopmental disorder. And you're thinking, Katie, what the heck does that mean? Now, a neurodevelopmental disorder, and I'm just reading you what they say, is a group of conditions with onset in the developmental period. So when we're very young and our brain is still developing. The disorders typically manifest early in development, often before the child enters grade school, so very young. Tourette's has the average age of onset between 5 and 7. They are characterized by developmental deficits that produce impairments of personal, social, academic, or occupational functioning. Now that is all of the neurodevelopmental disorders, but that just gives you an idea of what they mean when they call something that. And tic disorders as a whole fall under that. And a tic disorder or a tic, if any of you don't know what a tic is, it's kind of like a sudden or rapid movement, or what do they say? It's a rapid, recurrent, non-rhythmic motor movement or vocalization. Now, some people, and I have many of these people in my life, will clear their throat, and that's their tic. Or they'll sniffle, and that's it. Or they'll shrug their shoulders, or they may shake a hand out really quick. And those are all different examples of tics. Now, everyone's are different. Some people have a combination of things that they have to do all at once. But all of those things fall under different tics. Now, Tourette's disorder itself has, and I'm just going to read you what the DSM says. It says that it has both multiple motor and one or more vocal tics. So we have both. So we have a shoulder shrug and a vocal tic, like at the same time. And these have to have been present at some time during the illness, although not necessarily concurrently, meaning they don't have to happen at the same time, but they have to both be present. The tics may wax and wane, meaning they may be more or less in frequency, but have persisted for more than a year since the first tic onset. So at least a year someone's been struggling with this. Onset is before the age of 18. And the disturbance is not attributable to the physiological effects of a substance. So you can't be under the influence of alcohol, cocaine, any kind of substance. Or another medical condition. They reference Huntington's disease a lot in this because I guess it can give you a lot of different tics. So that's how we diagnose Tourette's. So now we know what Tourette's disorder is. And usually when it's diagnosed, like I said, it happens in early developmental years between the ages of 5 and 7. And in the DSM, they report that those who have tics and Tourette's disorder as a whole usually don't even get treatment. Oftentimes, the symptoms are not severe enough to really impair their functioning, so they don't really need to do anything about it. But other people can find it very impairing and can be really difficult for them to get jobs and meet people and just feel okay while they are, still have their tics or whatever. And so those people may seek treatment. So then what kind of treatment are we looking for? Now, the stuff that I looked into said that first of all, there is no cure for Tourette's disorder. And like I said, some people, it's not really even severe enough to seek treatment and it may not even be necessary. But no medication works for all Tourette's disorder symptoms, but some may help. And they reported that stimulants can help, antidepressants can help, and Botox can help, which I found very odd, but it makes sense if you have facial tics that could stop you from actually doing it. And so those are the 3 that are most common. But the one thing that they say works the best is, drum roll, therapy. Ta-da! People like me coming to see someone who probably specializes in tic disorders or anxiety disorders, things like that, because they say that they kind of run together. And a lot of the things I was reading about Tourette's, I found that it sounded a lot like OCD, because they report one of the things that helps in therapy is behavioral therapy, where we maybe tell you to not do something for just a minute longer and hold with that uncomfortable feeling where you're like, but I really want to do it. And then the urge to do the tic can go away. And so that is one of the treatments that they talk about, how if you work with a therapist who's great with OCD and tic disorders and anxiety disorders, they'll do a lot of behavioral therapy, which is part of the CBT world, and they'll have you try to fight those urges, because the interesting thing about Tourette's, the more I read about it, is that even though it can feel like it's a completely involuntary response, like, whoo, I have no chance to even not do it, within our brain, they say that it is actually voluntary, and if we can tap into that, we can actually stop the tics. Now, it takes a lot of work and a lot of time with your therapist, but they said that for most people, it goes away. So that's great to know if you have been really struggling for a long time thinking, when is there ever going to be reprieve from this? They also talk about just basic psychotherapy, just talking things out, because it can help you cope with the Tourette's, as well as a lot of the accompanying symptoms. They talked a lot about how anxiety and depression are concomitant with Tourette's, and people really struggle with those at the same time. And so, as we know, just talking things out and processing through how we feel can really, really help us feel better. And the last thing that I want to talk about is the fact that along with the behavioral therapy, if you can just find a CBT therapist in your area, because I know many of you in the UK, in Canada, and different parts of the world usually only have access to a certain type of therapy and certain therapists. And I know that CBT is very common. Know that CBT therapy is great for this. It's all part of that behavioral therapy. It's all kind of part of the same therapy family. So please, if you're struggling with this, and this is something that has been going on since, let's say you were 6 years old, know that you can overcome. A lot of it is sitting with that uncomfortable feeling, working with someone as you talk it out and you fight through those urges, because trust me, all the research, all the reports I read said that you can overcome it, and it does go away. I hope that this has been informational, Melissa. Thank you so much for your questions. And to all of you, keep your questions coming. That's what I'm here for. Like I said, you challenge me to learn more, to do more research, to find other specialists in the area. As we, as a community, just keep growing. It's amazing. And so don't forget to subscribe, because I put out videos all the time. And give this a like if you like this type of video, where it may be a different type of disorder that I'm researching and giving information out about. I didn't know how to stop, and so I just...